Welcome to my YouTube channel once again. Please refer my first video related to best practices in Angular to prevent cross-site scripting attack. In our first video related to this one, we have discussed about what is cross-site scripting and Angular prevents cross-site scripting attack by providing inbuilt data sanitization. But the problem is that there are many scenarios where we genuinely want to pass the JavaScript function on the HTML properties like click of anchor tag or button click, but inbuilt data sanitization will stop us to do that kind of scenarios. As I have already show you the example how inbuilt data sanitization stop us to passing the JavaScript function inside the HTML properties. I will show you that once again, and later on we will move towards how we can resolve those kind of scenarios. So this is like anchor tag which contains the inside the HRA property is dangerous URL. Similarly, we have one more tag of anchor where we are binding the trusted URL. So before dig into this example, I will tell you one more thing like to handle these kind of scenarios, Angular provides Domsanitizer class where it provides us these bypass security methods. Those names are bypass security trust HTML specific to sanitize the HTML. Similarly, bypass security trust style that is specific to CSS style, sanitization of CSS style, and so on. Like for trust URL is used for sanitizing the URL, and resource URL is used for sanitizing the URL. So these are the and this one more generic method is sanitize that DOM sanitizer provide us to handle these kind of scenarios. Now I will tell you how these methods help us to handle these kind of scenarios. So these are we have created two anchor tag. One is binded with the dangerous URL, another anchor tag is binding with the trust URL. So the dangerous URL value is we have JavaScript function that is alert hi there, and inside the trusted URL what we are doing, we are using the DOM sanitizer class. So this DOM sanitizer class we have imported, which is inside the Angular slash platform browser. This DOM sanitizer we are injected inside the component constructor, and now we have access of using all these methods, bypass security methods. So we are calling this dot dom sanitizer dot bypass security trust URL, and now we are passing the dangerous URL in the as a parameter because we are trying to sanitize the dangerous URL here. So now we will look into this into the picture here. I am refreshing the page once again. So if I will try to click here, I am not getting a JavaScript alert box here because inbuilt data sanitization provided by the Angular treated this dangerous URL as an unsafe value. So this is showing us the error. You will also see the warning sanitizing unsafe URL value JavaScript because this is the unsafe URL. But by using these methods, bypass security trust URL, bypass security, these methods, we are telling the Angular that the value we are using is a trusted source. We can trust on those value. So it will explicitly not applying the inbuilt data sanitization. So when I'm trying to click here, it will show us the pop-up. So for handle these kind of scenarios, we have to use the DOM sanitizer class, and as per our requirement, we can go for the different methods provided by the DOM sanitizer class. I will show you one more example related to this one, like we have resource URL. I'm commenting the code here. Like inside the resource URL, I am using the dangerous video URL. Inside the dangerous video URL, we have embedded a YouTube link. This is my YouTube channel link, which is easy to crack interview, and the value is this one. And right now this is the untrusted URL because we are directly binding it, and now we are using the bypass security trust resource URL. By using this method, we are telling Angular that this dangerous video URL is a trusted source. So now we will look into again in the browser what is happening in the browser. I'm refreshing the page. So now you will see I'm getting one error, unsafe value used in the resource URL context. This error we are getting because of this iframe. This value is untrusted, that is not rendering here because of the inbuilt data sanitization. But if you will look into the code, we are using the bypass security trust URL by telling the Angular that this is the trusted source. So it is not creating any problem, and it is this value is successfully rendering into the iframe. This when I click here, it is also running. This is working fine as
Hello
expected.
everyone, welcome to
Okay.
my channel.
So now we will talk about now when to use the sanitize method and when to use this bypass security trust methods. Now we will talk about this. So whenever we know that we have a trusted value that we are trying to bind those value directly to the document object model, and by passing the or angular default security check, that is inbuilt data sanitization, we are bypassing that we are not using data inbuilt sanitizer, and we are telling the angular that this is the trusted source. In that case, we can use these bypass security trust methods. And whenever we are dealing with the user generated or dynamic content that needs to be sanitized before rendering into the document object model to prevent accesses attack, in that scenario we can go for the sanitize method. But in general, I would say we should prioritize using the sanitize method over the bypass trust security methods whenever possible, because the reason is sanitize method applies security check and sanitization rules always, because it treat all the values as untrusted. So it will apply all the security check and sanitization rule to the data, so that because of that it helps us to prevent the cross-site scripting attack and ensuring the safety of the content. So one more thing I would like to add here: whenever we are using these bypass security trust methods, always make sure that the data we are using is always from coming from a trusting source, and rendering is from the trusting source. If the data is not from the coming from the trusted source, then your application again will get into the trouble, and cross-site attack is possible, and your application is vulnerable for the cross-site scripting attack. That is the basically difference between when to use sanitize and bypass security trust methods. Okay. And I will also give you one more walkthrough related the real time example. Basically these are the best practices that we should always follow whenever developing an angular application. Otherwise your application is vulnerable for the cross sss attack. I will show you one more example. Like, I am creating an anchor tag here. I am uncommenting here. Inside this I have creating a like click, and on the click of I am calling a navigate URL, and inside the navigate URL I have write the URL, put the google.com and window.location.href. Now this will work fine as expected. If you will look into, when you will try to click here, it will navigate to google.com. But again, whenever you are using and follow these practice, your application is vulnerable for the accessor attack. Because I will show you one more here. Before go inside this one, I will look into like your application, because a accessor attacker can change the this um, URL. I will show you in more detail. First, I will tell you how we should use this kind of scenarios and what type of like code we should write here instead of directly passing the URL. We should use the best practices like I have the URL, and by passing the URL we have to sanitize this URL first before passing into the window.location.href. Whenever you are using and follow these practices, your application, Angular application, is safe and is not vulnerable for the cross-site scripting attack. Let's suppose you are not using these practices. What will happen? First, I have already told you your application is vulnerable for the cross-site scripting attack. Second one, when your application is go for the penetration testing in your company, or whenever your application go for the Veracode scanning, at that time the tester, penetration tester, will resist the bugs. And if you will use this kind of scenarios, you will get a bug, untrusted URL redirection. So again, you have to fix this kind of scenarios by using this sanitization class. And if you will look into this kind of errors, you will get how to fix it CWE-601 URL redirection to untrusted site. So here what it's saying, the following code issue in Veracode scan report, can anyone suggest how to fix? Here in the get request, it is direct, he is directly passing the URL. So what is Veracode support guy is saying here? Veracode static analysis report flaws of CWE 601 U direction to untrusted site if it can detect a redirect to a path constructed using a tainted data. The concern is that an attacker may be able to abuse this tainted data to cause your application to redirect to an attacker control domain. That is the reason we have to sanitize the URL first and later on pass to the redirection. That is the reason we have to use this data sanitization. This is the live example, the facing by me, and implemented by me in a real scenarios that I am sharing with you. If you guys any doubt or any question, please you can put your question in the comment box. I will get back to you as soon as possible. Thank you everyone. Thanks for your time.